Hello, let's take a look at today's New York stock market conditions. This is the 8-hour chart for Nasdaq futures. This section shows the Nasdaq's correction due to concerns over the employment data release. Yesterday, the correction in the semiconductor sector was relatively steep. Meanwhile, the software and industrial sectors are actually experiencing gains in the market. Based on the Nasdaq futures chart, we can say that it remains in an upward trend as long as it does not break below the opening price of the previous rally. Looking at the S&P 500 daily chart, after the completion of the major wave 2, I am explaining it in terms of medium waves 1 and 2. I am once again emphasizing the strong bullish phase that is quickly reversing with the third wave of wave 3. The S&P 500 did not experience a significant correction yesterday, so further gains are still expected. This rally is expected to rise quickly up to 8,000 points. This is the 12-hour chart of international oil prices. I am emphasizing the continued decline in oil prices. In the previous section, on May 19th, I mentioned the correction in oil prices, followed by a rebound, and now, with another 1, 2, 3 wave impulse decline, I am forecasting a continued downward trend. Yes, as mentioned, the persistent downward trend is continuing from the indicated position. In this section, I am explaining that the sharp drop in international oil prices may be due to the intentional selling pressure from market makers. This is the 3-day chart of international oil prices. Yes, I mentioned a sharp drop and correction from the rebound B-wave position. Yes, with the recent movement in international oil prices, the previous rise has formed an ABC rebound wave, and this could lead to a strong downward wave that renews the lows for the second half of this year. I previously pointed out the possibility that international oil prices could experience a sharp, sudden, and significant downward trajectory without any significant rebound. And as you can clearly see from the market data and current price movements, there is a sustained and persistent bearish momentum following the rebound B wave. However, with this kind of movement in oil prices, not only could it fall below $50, but it could even drop below $40. Yes, as the downward trend in oil prices continues, oil prices are entering a phase of long-term stabilization, and if that happens, inflationary pressures are likely to gradually ease. Yes, since this can reduce the market's interest rate burden and trigger an increase in liquidity, I still remain confident in a major bull market. This decline in oil prices is expected to have a positive impact on the July Consumer Price Index. So accordingly, the market is also forecasting a continued bull run in July. This is the SOXL 4-hour chart. This is the section where SOXL experienced a sharp correction yesterday. It can be seen that short-term profit-taking has occurred in semiconductor stocks that had experienced significant gains. Meanwhile, the software-related stocks I mentioned recently have actually reached new highs, confirming that the current market trend is changing. For SOXL, whether it can hold the $200 support level is important. Recently, SOXL was listed on the futures markets of exchanges like Bybit and Bitget, which has led to even greater volatility at this time. If SOXL undergoes a correction down to $180, I plan to respond by selling some positions in software stocks and using the proceeds to buy SOXL. This is the 8-hour chart for NVIDIA. Since there hasn't been a significant upward move, you can see that there hasn't been a corresponding correction either. Yes, currently this is a period where we expect an additional upward wave through the end of July and into August. This is the 8-hour chart for Tesla. I'm explaining this as the end of this wave. Recently, with continuous upward movement, this section has seen an increase of about 16%. This is the section where the previously mentioned sell target of $430 was reached, and we executed the sell. Currently, this is a section facing upper resistance like this. Yes, after a short-term correction, we expect another upward wave that will set a new high. Accordingly, the Tesla 2x leveraged DSLL provided a profit section of about 34%. We sold all of our DSLL holdings. We plan to consider buying again if the price dips once more. Micron was sold as it broke out of its trend. Since there is a possibility that funds from Micron may flow into other sectors, we plan to take a conservative approach in the short term. Although the long-term uptrend continues, there may be a price correction in the short term. This is Palantir's daily chart. In the previous video, I talked about the possibility of a double tree completion in Palantir using the ABCW, ABCX, and ABCY wave patterns. Yes, from the position I mentioned, the price has risen by about 20%. Stocks that have seen significant gains are undergoing corrections, while lower-priced stocks are rebounding in the current market. Yes, Palantir is in a range where it can be held. I expect a sequential rise to continue through the end of July and into August. For the next upward move, my sell targets are set at $15 for the first target and $19 for the second target. This is the daily chart for ServiceNow. Recently, ServiceNow has formed a double bottom pattern, and with the confirmation of a short-term bullish divergence, this is a phase where further upside is expected. Currently, additional upward movement is underway. Software-related stocks continue to stand out with their gains in this period. I plan to continue holding until the end of July and into August. At this point, new purchases are also possible. The short-term targets are $123 for the daily chart and $170 for the 2-day chart. This is the daily chart for DDOG. I mentioned new buying opportunities through the membership video. After this wave ends, a third wave rally that breaks through the previous high could occur. Currently, this is a section where about an 18% increase has occurred, and it is a period for holding rather than selling. The short-term price target is $350. This is the 8-hour chart for Amazon. Yes, as mentioned, additional upward movement is taking place from the indicated position. Yes, instead of facing a correction, this section is actually showing bullish candlesticks. Since we are expecting another significant price surge by next week, this is a period to hold. Amazon is also in a range where new purchases are possible. From a long-term perspective, Amazon is expected to rise up to $330. This is the 8-hour chart for AST SpaceMobile. Yes, this is a section where we are holding. Yes, this is a period to challenge for additional gains this week and next week, and the next sell target for the upcoming rise is $120. Yes, the buying range can be considered as $86 for the first entry and $80 for the second entry. Yes, this is a period where we are expecting continued growth through July and August. This is the daily chart for Oklu. This is a section where an upward wave reversing the trend could occur again based on the $50 level. This is a period to approach with a swing strategy until the end of July. If the price breaks above $56 in this section, it will confirm an upward wave towards $70 from a mid to short-term perspective. The first target is $70 and the second target is $100. From a long-term perspective, Oklu is expected to surpass $260. I hope this was helpful. That concludes today's video. Thank you.